can sometimes seem like a ballet of movement and motion. But it isn't always graceful. You don't even have to like it. This is all about getting it done. Reggie Miller has put his stamp on this series with his actions and certainly with his words. But he plays for Indiana, where visitors are usually welcomed with open arms. While New York has the reputation as one of the boldest, bravest, roughest. But today they're facing a must-win game, or they will be pushed to the brink of elimination.
Is the NBA on NBC. The 1995 NBA playoffs. Today, it's the New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers.
NBC, let's let the nation.
It is a packed house at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. Better than 16,000 turning out in the heartland of basketball for Game 4 between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with Matt Dukas. This crowd is certainly ready, and for the Knicks, it is a case they feel of the season being on the line. And in talking to Knicks players, you get the idea that they also feel that they must get a powerful game out of Patrick Ewing, although he has come up hobbling. But they need a huge game from Ewing today, who has been severely outplayed by Rick Smith.
And the first offensive option for both teams goes through the center position. And look at this. It has been all Rick Smith showing a nice touch, while Patrick Ewing is settling for too many jump shots and not getting to the foul line nearly enough. And for Patrick to get it going today, he is going to have to make a huge contribution in the rebounding department.
All right, while the Pacers have had the edge at the center position at the marquee shooting guard spot, it has been a standoff between Reggie Miller and John Starks.
And Reggie and John love the role of assassin. And look at these numbers. The scoring is just about even, but so far John Starks has the edge in shooting from the field. And on Thursday night, John came out smoking, tying a playoff record by making 6 out of 7 3-point shots in the first half. And then Reggie Miller crushed up the Knicks by attacking the rim and not settling for jump shots and even slamming this one home in traffic. And Mark, whoever gets the best of this matchup will win the game.
All right, when we come back, it'll be Game 2 of our NBA playoff doubleheader here on NBC. It's the Knicks and the Pacers. We welcome you to Indianapolis, Indiana. Big weekend here in Indianapolis. Today, the first day of qualifications at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Plus this, game number 4 between the Knicks and the Pacers. And a look at the starting lineups for the New York Knicks. In the backcourt, the combination of Derek Harper and John Starks. Starks, of course, will be matched with Reggie Miller. And on the front line, Patrick Ewing, along with Charles Smith and Charles Oakley. Oakley coming off a 23-point game, 7 of 14 from the field to lead the Knicks in Game 3 here on Thursday night. And for the Indiana Pacers, in the backcourt, Mark Jackson, who's had a disappointing series. In fact, we'll probably see much of Hayward Workman once again, and Reggie Miller, who went to the dribble drive for the most part rather than the perimeter shot on Thursday night. Rick Smits at center, Derek McKee, who has been quiet, and Dale Davis up front. And Coach Larry Brown, who said that Game 3 Thursday was the biggest game in the Pacers' NBA history. And then he said, but I think today's game is even bigger than Game 3. And there is Knick coach Pat Riley, who has said on a number of occasions, as you look the ceremonial toss. Nice going, Jay. Pretty flip to Hugh Hollins.
He worked very hard on that before the game for about a half hour with Ahmad.
Yes. And the Dean of Sideline Reporting has returned after a one-week sabbatical. Here is Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Marv. The big story for the New York Knicks is, in fact, Patrick Ewing. I spent some extensive time with him this morning, and he said to me that he is, in fact, in a lot of pain. He pulled a hamstring a couple of weeks ago and felt like he overcompensated and then hurt his calf muscle. He's been getting treatment on it all night, all this morning. He says it's not so much the injury that's important because he'll have to play through that pain. The most important thing for him is his mindset, and he said that today he's ready to play. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, I started to say Pat Riley, a guy who feels the Knicks react better to adversity than to success, as we saw back in Game 2 on Tuesday after they had blown the game in the final minutes on Sunday afternoon, but they bounced back with the blowout victory, and he's hoping for more of the same here today.
Well, they like that them against the world mentality. They always say they have to do things the hard way, but they also say they want to find a way to prevail through all the turmoil. Well, they're in a little bit of turmoil today.
And the officials, Hugh Hollins, Tommy Nunez, and Ron Garretson. Three important names the way this series has gone. And Hugh Hollins with a history of interest to the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls going back to last year's playoff. So the Pacers, after controlling the opening tip, hear the whistle for an illegal defense against the Knicks.
And a big break for the Indiana Pacers. They were in trouble with Dale Davis having the basketball, the shot clock winding down. They found themselves in that predicament late in the game the other night and had a big turnover, which could have cost the Pacers the game.
And a quick foul is called. Hugh Hollins waving his hand in the direction of the Knicks as if to say, I do not want to hear anything. It's called on John Starks.
Well, Reggie Miller has had trouble getting open in half-court execution, and John Starks looking around trying to figure out who he touched. He had some contact with Miller and then just tried to get around the screen. A very close call, but that's the way the officials are going to call it.
Mark Jackson, the one-time New York Knick, feeding Reggie Miller, rejected by Charles Oakley, who came over to help out. Derek Harper for Charles Smith. Yes. The Knicks with a 2-0 lead.
And this is how the Knicks have been getting a lot of open jump shots, and they're shooting them well because Derek Harper is able to get inside the teeth of the defense against Mark Jackson.
Derek McKee for Rick Smits. Puts on the floor and shows the nice touch. Rick Smits has been bothered by back spasms, sat out the practice the day before. Game 3. Says he's all right, though.
And he gets into early foul trouble. Normally he picks him up at the offensive end with illegal picks early in the ballgame.
Pass intended for Ewing. Back come the Pacers. Dale Davis. Dale Davis not noted for outside shooting. Able to hit from just inside the free throw line.
The Pacers will look to run much more here at Market Square Arena. I don't think they expected Dale Davis to take that shot. They expected him to swing the ball.
Oakley. Charles Oakley had the touch in Game 3 on Thursday. Sometimes, though, that can work the other way as McKee goes to the hoop. Rebounded by Starks. And here's Starks putting on the brakes, looking for the three, given no room. Smith, off the spin, he drew the foul. Getting back to the situation with Oakley, who has a good outside shot, but sometimes if he is hitting it too frequently, he might take it at the wrong time at the end of the game. He gets encouraged, and that happened a couple of times late in the game on Thursday.
Well, he had that one that he looked at, he was tentative, didn't take it, tried to drive, and that's when Haywood Workman took a charge.
Starks for three, and rebounded by Smith. He puts it.
And Charles Smith has come out ready. The gun is loaded every time he touches the ball. And Derek McKee, and that's a key matchup in this series. Both teams want those players to pretty much neutralize each other.
Smith's facing the basket, going right at Ewing, and draws the foul. And the crowd reacts as Patrick Ewing is called for his first.
And this is a very quick, sharp move by Rick Smits, just trying to get head and shoulders and step behind, or I should say ahead of Ewing, and Rick Smits banged his knee on the play.
Non-shooting foul. Battle between Smits and Ewing, and this time it is called against Smits. A correction, Dale Davis called for the foul, away from the ball.
Smits and Ewing battling on the ball, but Dale Davis trying to set that screen for Miller, and Davis moved ever so slightly, and John Starks took advantage of the opportunity to just kind of bump in and fall back and draw the foul.
Indiana with a 4-2 lead, 3 minutes in. Smith changed his mind. Starks downtown. John Starks, who hit 6 3-pointers in the first half on Thursday, hitting on his first from downtown. The 6th tying an NBA playoff record that is shared by Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan. Remember, Jordan did it in the NBA Finals against Portland. Ewing with the rebound. And Harper looking for Oakley, thought he would break. Harper fires. Good box out by Dale Davis.
Not a good shot by Derek Harper. It was a semi-break situation, but nobody underneath the backboards. Better to pull it back out and run the set play.
Jackson going behind the back. And Oakley able to hustle it down. Knicks 5 and the Pacers 4. Remember, the Knicks finished the regulation portion of the game the other night without a field goal in the final 7 minutes and 24 seconds. Hand check is called on Jackson. Both clubs have opened up by hitting 2 of 6 from the field. Indiana Pacers have been very successful here at Market Square during the regular season. 33-8. That was tied for 3rd best record at home in the NBA. Here's Starks. John Starks in a rare 2-point field goal situation.
And rare to get that open against the very tough, aggressive, physical defense of the Pacers. I don't think he believed he was that wide open. That's why he put the ball on the floor.
Reggie Miller. Well, Reggie Miller hits the jump shot. Not looking for the perimeter shot in the previous game. Surprised even his own teammates by going to the drive that frequently. The Knicks with a 7-6 advantage. Jackson facing a double team, gave it to Smits. Nice pass for Davis. Rick Smits with the setup for Dale Davis. Indiana leads by 1.
Terrific job by Smits, keeping his head up and not charging.
Ewing not able to hit. Oakley missed the tip. Here comes Miller. Starks back. Miller puts the move on. Reggie Miller not able to hit. Miller on the follow for Davis. Fast start for Dale Davis. He's hit all 3 of his shots. Indiana leads 10-7.
Pacers looking to force the action, run at opportunity, and both teams seem very careful not committing foolish fouls.
Oakley with the pick. Open shot. No, Smith's on the pickup of Smith. Back comes Jackson. McKee had to save that look-away pass. McKee for 3. And Ewing with the rebound. Halfway through this first quarter. Hopefully, yes. So the Pacers now lead 10-9. In the regular season, Indiana, record of 52-30, won the Central Division. First round of the playoffs, they swept Atlanta in 3. Nice pass from Jackson. And it counts. McKee on the reverse. And he will go to the line.
Well, fast break opportunities, everybody with their heads up, not forcing things as Reggie Miller kept his head up to find Dale Davis, and then screen roll, and Derek McKee actually rolling to the basket. Very poor rotation by the Knicks.
Just a moment ago, Patrick Ewing picked up his first foul of the game. Over the first 3 games of the series, Ewing has had a look of frustration on his face due to foul problems and his ailing physical status. We talked about that with Pat Riley.
Patrick Ewing stands for everything good. You know, he's always been, you know, a dignified player. He's been a player that has represented the league, you know, impeccably. He is a player that is highly thought of. He's not controversial. He's not a jerk. He doesn't do a lot of things to draw attention to himself. He plays hurt. He's a warrior, and he's a winner. And when he's treated with the lack of respect, you know, by the officials, especially in this particular series that he's been treated with, it would put a look on your face, because he's not getting the opportunity, after paying dues for 11 years in this league, to help this league get to where it is. To sit on the bench would put a look on your face, and that's where his frustration is coming from.
And I understand where Pat Riley's frustration is coming from, and he's trying to get a message out. But just because Patrick Ewing has been a terrific person and a great player for many years in this league, that does not mean he should get the benefit of the doubt on calls.
And Patrick Ewing sent to the line on the foul that was called on Reggie Miller.
Both teams have done a very good job of understanding now just how this game is going to be, or this series is going to be officiated, and they're not committing the silly foul.
Pacers 13, Knicks 11 with 5.5 remaining in this opening quarter. This is game 4 of the best of 7. Knicks trying to tie the series at 2. Indiana hoping to send it back to the Garden, up 3 games to 1. Starks puts the move on Jackson. Knicks wanted a goaltend. They felt that McKee should have been called for goaltending. Jackson. Mark Jackson with his first field goal. Mark Jackson here in the early going, looking strictly to be a playmaker. Larry Brown has been very unhappy with his play.
And he's done a good job so far, Mark. 3 assists, no turns.
Pacers by 4. Ewing stumbled, able to recover to get it to Hopper, who hits the 3.
And Patrick Ewing will get an assist there, but a beautifully quick spin move on the baseline for Patrick Ewing. He just lost the handle on it, but right into the hands of teammate Derek Harper.
Indiana by 1. McKee had the baseline closed by Smith. Shot clock at 7. Jackson for Smits. Oakley with the rebound.
Rick Smits is always wandering around the perimeter. 2 shots ago, maybe a little bit outside his range, but that's the kind of shot Rick Smits will give you with the shot clock winding down. He always pops to that little open 14-foot area.
Ewing. So Patrick Ewing with the turnaround from the baseline to give the Knicks a 1-point lead.
Well, that's where Patrick feels most comfortable with the perimeter jump shots. The play before on the spin of the basket, he's got to do more of that and try to get Smits in foul trouble.
Rick Smits showing the beautiful touch. That's his second field goal, and it's Indiana by 1. 3:35 remaining first quarter. Ewing off the fake, going glass. Rebounded by Davis.
And Patrick wanted a foul there, but he made the half penetration, trying to get to the basket, trying to draw the foul.
Smits played by Oakley. Smits again. Rick Smits in his 7th NBA season out of Marist has come so far the last couple of years.
And those last 2 shots were from about 18 feet out. I was watching him warming up before the game. He was shooting from behind the line.
Foul is called as Hopper was able to penetrate, and he was hacked.
Well, the quick, hard spin by Ewing beats Smits, but Patrick moving so quickly, couldn't control the basketball, but right into the hands for Derek Harper, and where Patrick feels most comfortable, fading away a little bit on the baseline over the outstretched arm of Rick Smits, and then on half penetration, trying to get into the lane, he felt he got hacked on that play, and letting the officials know, and Patrick has to be very careful here, especially with Hugh Hollins involved. They will not stand for being shown up by indicating how they were fouled on a previous play.
Hopper was fouled by Smits, and that the 200th foul in this series in 158 total minutes. So better than 1 foul per minute.
Well, both of these coaches demand that their teams go out and play very aggressive, tough, hard, forceful defense. It's very hard to say to your team, I want that, but I don't want you to touch anybody. You just can't have it both ways.
And this is a well-played first quarter. The Knicks with only 1 turnover. Indiana with only 1, in contrast to what we saw Thursday night in Game 3. Hayward Workman has come on from Mark Jackson, and the foul is called on Ewing. That is his second. Anthony Mason checking in for the first time for the Knicks.
Well, the Knicks will often front on post defense. Not quite enough pressure on the ball. The 7'4" Smits presents a gigantic target in there, and the backside defense of the Knicks was absent. Nobody home. And I think Patrick Ewing is not only frustrated at the officials for all the game, but also a little frustrated with his teammates. Patrick Ewing gets Rick Smits to bite on the little shot fake, little half penetration, and then trying to avoid Derek McKee to get the shot up. Patrick Ewing didn't feel that he avoided him altogether. He felt McKee slapped him on the wrist and lets referee Tommy Nunez know about it as he walks to the bench for that timeout.
Early departure, though, for Ewing, picking up a second foul. Herb Williams, the one-time Indiana Pacer, has checked in. And Larry Brown doing some shuffling. Byron Scott, who's had a very difficult series, has come on for the first time along with Antonio Davis.
During that timeout, coming out on the floor, John Starks having a little word of encouragement, I believe, to Patrick Ewing, saying, hey, we need you, big fella. We are not going very far in this series without your play. And I think John Starks realizes that Patrick Ewing is too caught up with the officiating right now and not caught up enough with the game.
Hopper and Starks at the guards. Mason with Oakley and Williams on the front line. 2.5 left, first quarter. The Knicks are down by 2. And Hugh Hollins calling the foul on Antonio Davis. Hugh with a demonstration right out of the official's handbook showing Antonio what he did.
Well, late in the season, the last 2.5 games when Patrick Ewing was not playing, the Knicks were very effective going inside to Mason. The ball moved very well. Antonio Davis, too much hand pressure in there, pushing on Anthony Mason. But what Mason will do is he'll either make his quick move or get the ball out of the post area when he gets double teamed. And first of all, he sets in tight to the lane to draw that double team. And once that ball starts moving, they get good shots.
And Anthony Mason having his problems at the free throw line. The Knicks have been horrendous at the line. Game 3 Thursday, 19 of 33. In the 3 games, they're only 65% at the line. Pacers 20. The Knicks 19. Hayward Workman covered by Derek Hopper, but the call away from the ball. It's against the Knicks. It's on Herb Williams.
Well, Herb Williams trying to battle and push Rick Smits off the block somewhat, reach it around with that right arm, and that's in plain view of the officials. An easy call to make. There are the fouls I was talking about early in the ballgame, Marv, where you just have to stay away from. You've got to move your feet and be very careful how you use your hands and arms.
And while the Knicks have struggled at the line, Pacers have done a good job. The other night, 37 for 46 at the line. Both teams are over the foul limit. And a fast start by Indiana center Rick Smits. He has 9. 22-19 Indiana as we come up on 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Byron Scott now guarding John Starks, who goes to his left. Herb Williams had it knocked out of his hands. Good play.
Well, Derek McKee has been active with his hands and so far very fortunate, but that was clearly all ball. And the other time by Patrick Ewing's reaction, he probably got a piece of skin.
Starks for 3, coming up and hearing it from the crowd. McKee putting the move on Williams. Derek McKee with a sweeping hook off glass. Indiana leads by 5 points. Starks getting inside and called for a traveling violation.
John Starks thought he should have got away with that call. He said, hey, Dominique Wilkins has been doing that for about 10, 11 years. But to avoid the defense and get in the lane, the big hop, step, and the jump, and the officials have it. Here's John again as he knifes between Smits and his defender and the hop, and that is clearly a traveling violation.
Only the second turnover committed by the Knicks. Indiana with just 1 minute and a half left in this first quarter. Good ball movement by the Pacers. Comes back to Smits. Rebounded by Oakley. Workman did an excellent job against Derek Hopper in Game 3. That is his strength at the defensive end. Herb Williams had the shot deflected. Oakley able to rescue. Hopper and Davis now in the backcourt. Hubert Davis has come on. Knicks working with a new 24. Mason. Mason had the shot. Smits stepped away, did not want to pick up a foul.
Good execution by New York, but good defense by Rick Smits, just standing there, all 7'4", and when he keeps his arms straight up, it's about 10 feet.
Traveling violation called on Scott.
Mason, who's usually very clever around the basket and using his right hand here, forced to use his left, but Rick Smits very much aware that any kind of contact, he picks up the foul, just stood straight up.
Dell Davis checks back in. Rick Smits receiving an ovation. 9 points. 4 rebounds for Smits.
I think anytime Larry Brown can take Rick Smits out of the ballgame at this particular juncture with only 1 personal foul, he's happy.
Oh, nice pass that Mason fumbled, was able to recover. Anthony Mason lost it momentarily, but converted to bring the Knicks within 3. We are down to 10 seconds left in the first quarter. Workman playing the clock down to 5. Scott, 3 seconds. There's Scott, rejected by Mason. Won't count. It would have been too late. So, after 1 here at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, the Pacers 24 and the Knicks 21. Patrick Ewing sent to the bench after picking up a second foul. Oh, Rick Smits once again. It has been his series to this point. Back with the second quarter in a moment. Welcome back to Game 4 of this best of 7 between the Knicks and the Pacers. In Game 1 last Sunday in New York, Pacers won in that remarkable ending sparked by the heroics of Reggie Miller. Rick Smits with a career playoff high of 34 points in his 35 minutes. Then in game number 2 at Madison Square Garden last Tuesday night, the Knicks won in a blowout. Very passive game for Indiana. They committed 35 turnovers, 1 shy of an NBA playoff record. Then here on Thursday, a wild overtime win for the Pacers. They out-rebounded the Knicks 45-24. The Knicks shooting only 57% at the foul line. And Reggie Miller did the job. Did it off the drive rather than the jump shot. So that brings us to Game 4. Game 5 will be back in New York on Wednesday. Indiana has led by as many as 5. Second quarter underway. And it's the Pacers 24, the Knicks 21. Patrick Ewing is back on the floor and turned it over. Workman threw the foul. Haywood Workman accelerating, going to the hoop, and was hit by Charles Smith.
And Haywood Workman picking it up in this playoff year as he did last year, playing extremely well, and he does it mostly at the defensive end, putting good pressure on the opponent's point guard, making the other team start their offense much further out on the floor, much farther out on the floor. But what Workman will do offensively is that force the action, fast break opportunities, and attack the rim. Not known for his perimeter shooting, but he'll knock one down from time to time.
Rick Anthony has come on now for Derek Hopper, who departs with 5 assists. Haywood Workman, a major surprise last year after spending time with Atlanta and Washington. Not flashy, very solid though. Well, really makes a mistake in his 4th year out of Oral Roberts. And providing problems with Greg Anthony, as he did last Tuesday in Game 2 at the Garden. Greg Anthony had a very difficult stretch against Haywood Workman. And Anthony forced to the bad pass.
Well, Charles Smith got hung up as Workman ran into him, and Anthony hung up in the air with the turnover.
Scott again called for the travel. Byron Scott continues to struggle.
Little screen roll situation between Anthony and Smith, but Haywood Workman coming hard into Smith, hangs him up. He's unable to clear to the open area, but Anthony, by being in the air, threw the ball anyway, had to get rid of it.
Byron Scott in this series only 1 of 9 from the field. In the playoff, shooting just 31% going back to the 3 games against the Atlanta Hawks. Shot clock at 5. Nice look from Ewing. Anthony able to hit, and Anthony just tossed the ball at Dale Davis, and he's called for a technical foul. That's a taunt on Anthony.
Well, Anthony was standing in the right corner on that feed to the Ewing in the post, and Patrick had to verbally tell Greg Anthony what he wanted him to do. And he said, clear out, cut, do something, but get out of the way. He cut to the basket, the 8th field goal for the Knicks, all with 8 assists. And then Anthony, in his frustration, primarily because probably the last turnover, throwing the ball at Dale Davis.
Byron Scott will shoot the technical, an excellent free throw shooter, but not able to hit. He had hit 10 of 11 from the line in the playoffs.
Byron Scott just having a nightmare, just 1 for 10 from the field in this series, but the coaching staff of the Pacers have all the confidence in the world in Byron Scott because of the experience that he will eventually break out of this slump.
Delay of game call on the Knicks. The ball was kicked aside after that technical foul attempt by Scott. Pacers 26 and the Knicks 23. A minute 20 gone by in the second quarter. Scott played by Davis. Here's Antonio Davis. Dale Davis not able to hit. And Anthony Mason protecting the ball, then pitching it out to Charles Smith. So Pat Riley going with Smith, Mason, and Ewing up front. Anthony and Davis at the guard. Charles Smith. Greg Anthony. Shot clock at 5. Hubert Davis with the runner. And rebounded by Dale Davis. Byron Scott tried to save it. The ball back to New York, but first, a timeout taken. 9:58 remaining in the second quarter. The Indiana Pacers lead by 3. Marv Albert, Matt Kukas, and Ahmad Rashad back in Indianapolis. You're looking at Haywood Workman, an important player in Game 3 here on Thursday night, and getting the playing time once again here this afternoon. We talked with Haywood Workman yesterday. He says he just loves this type of basketball.
It's very competitive. You got to play hard. And, you know, if you don't play hard, they're going to kill you. You know, you're going to get embarrassed. And I think just the intensity playing against the Knicks, because they play so hard, kind of gets hot and heated sometimes. And a couple of incidents I think last year I had with Greg Anthony. I don't know if he did it intentionally, but he hit me in the face. And just because I think of the atmosphere of the game, I try to go at him just because, you know, it's the Knicks and you want to beat them. And, you know, if somebody does something to you like that, you want to get them back.
Yes, Greg Anthony and Haywood Workman did have an incident last season, and they are working against each other. Patrick Ewing getting the roll, as you saw, and the Pacer lead is now 1. Reggie Miller back on the floor, set out for 5 minutes. Dale Davis. Well, Dale Davis once again showing the outside shot. He has 8 points. Indiana 28, and the Knicks 25. Anthony trying to go baseline, was stopped by Workman. Illegal defense, the call against the Pacers.
Well, Dale Davis not known for his perimeter shooting, although the Pacers want him to be more aggressive offensively in low post moves, but that's 2 jump shots for Dale Davis right now. And Pat Riley saying, this is the one guy we would love to shoot the ball from the perimeter, and now he's knocked down 2 on us.
Rick Smits returning, along with Mark Jackson. Jackson replacing Workman. Indiana back to its starting lineup. Ewing. Patrick Ewing showing a move that he usually is able to hit when he's healthy. Rick Smits saying yesterday doesn't seem to have the same kind of follow-through as he's seen in the past.
But his particularly foot movement that time had a nice flow to it, the best I've seen in the last couple of games.
Jackson, 3-point attempt, and then batted out of bounds by Hubert Davis. So Indiana will get it back.
Well, long shots missed mean long rebounds, and if you're big people inside, you got to not only get a body on people, but you got to react to the ball bouncing over your head. Hubert Davis tried to peel back in from the guard position, but just slapped it out.
Now the matchup is Ewing against Dale Davis to keep Ewing out of foul difficulty. Reggie Miller from downtown. Reggie checking with the official Hugh Hollins, making certain that it was, yes, a 3-pointer. He was concerned his foot might have been on the line. Indiana leads by 4. Double team on Mason. Anthony open for 3. Greg Anthony, one stretch during the season, was hitting from downtown, but has not recently.
Well, Reggie, in the beginning of this ball game, a very modest 1 for 4, now coming back off the bench with a little step-back jumper behind the line, making sure that the official saw that his feet were beyond the arc.
Jackson with a dangerous pass, and it leads to the foul call. Tommy Nunez with the call.
Alan Charles Smith, his first.
It is a holding foul on Smith.
Well, Mark Jackson getting himself caught in the air, but on the way down, able to get bailed out on the play with Dale Davis flashing into the lane, who almost had to catch an easy lay-in.
This is a very difficult matchup for Hubert Davis. Reggie Miller has been able to do whatever he has wanted against Davis. Jackson, and the foul is called on Anthony. So Mark Jackson going to the basket. Greg Anthony called for his first.
I talked with Larry Brown yesterday about how he was going to approach Mark Jackson about getting ready for this game, and he said the ball is in his hands, the job is still his, but he's got to come out there and produce. Here's another way of Larry giving Mark Jackson an opportunity. Back in the early days in New York with the Knicks, and in his days with the Clippers, they used to run some post-ups for Mark Jackson. And when a player realizes that they're going to call plays for him, that will boost your confidence.
Mark Jackson in the first round against Atlanta played well. He averaged just under 13 a game, nearly 8 assists per game, but not the case against New York. Mark spent 5 years as a member of the Knicks, 2 years with the Clippers, 1 under Larry Brown, as you mentioned, and he was acquired from the Clippers in the deal for Pooh Richardson and Malik Sealy. He went to the Clippers in the trade involving Charles Smith and Doc Rivers. And speaking of Smith, Charles able to stuff it. The Pacers now lead 33-29.
All set up by Mark Jackson getting beat in the backcourt by Greg Anthony, and that's what Jackson can do. Cannot put pressure in the backcourt and contain a quick ball handler.
Smith with the lead for Miller. Good idea, but broken up. Nice play by Hubert Davis.
Mark Jackson trying to apply some pressure in the backcourt, but Greg Anthony doing the right thing. He knows he's got the quickness and foot speed to get by Mark Jackson, and that will create a lot of problems for the Pacer defense, and that's how Charles Smith gets wide open.
Welcome back to Market Square Arena. This is Ahmad Rashad, joined by the head of officiating for the NBA, Daryl Garrettson, and Joey Crawford. And Daryl, let me ask you, there's been so much said about the officiating in this particular series. Too many fouls.
I don't think there are too many fouls. I think the staff is to be commended for the way that they have carried out the interpretation of the league office. So I don't have any problem with it at all. I think this is a great series.
A lot of times you hear coaches making statements before the games, trying obviously to sort of to sway the officiating one way or the other. Does that work?
Not really. I can guarantee you that this staff here, we talked at the tape session this morning and everything else. You had mentioned something about some statements earlier on. This staff did not read the paper. Most officials don't read local newspapers.
Is there any coincidence that you being at this game? Because all I've read about this game is about the officiating. Any coincidence that you being here?
None whatsoever. I merely go where the officials are. I was in Chicago last night, so I drove up today, and I'll be in Chicago tomorrow. Dr. Wade will be at one of the other games this afternoon. Do you see what I'm saying? So all we're trying to do is cover as many games with an observer as we possibly can. Rod Thorne may be at one game. Dr. Wade will be at a game. Charlie McCarthy will be at a game. We're just trying to cover all games, really.
And your road partner, Joey Crawford, my favorite official.
Thank you, Ahmad. I need that break.
They're doing a good job in this series, Joey.
Absolutely terrific, especially since I had game one.
All right, back to you, Marv. Thanks, guys.
All right, Ahmad, and Darryl Garrettson also critiquing his son working the game today. Ron Garrettson working with Hugh Hollins and Tommy Nunez. Pacers with a 35-31 lead. 22nd timeout called, and Larry Brown upset with Mark Jackson.
First, it's been well chronicled about Larry Brown being very difficult on point guards. Larry, as a player back at North Carolina and a lot of good ABA years, was an outstanding point guard, so he is more demanding of the position. But he has a very good relationship with Mark Jackson. He's the guy that really pushed Donnie Walsh to bring Mark Jackson here.
Miller from way downtown. Reggie Miller hitting a second three. He has 8, and the Pacers have opened up a 38-31 lead. And the call is made away from the ball.
Well, whatever Larry Brown is saying during these timeouts, it has worked beautifully for the Pacers. And after another timeout, Mitchell came right off on an underneath out-of-bounds play for a jumper here. Just a simple little screen, and Reggie Miller just comes up, feet under him, eyes the basket, and really no pressure and no challenge on the shot.
Sam Mitchell on the floor committed that foul. He just checked in. He had a very difficult game here on Thursday night. Good hustle by Mitchell to break it up, and here's it from the crowd. Sam Mitchell had one the other night that I think he'd like to forget about. 13 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field, a couple of air balls, 3 turnovers. But he has been a valuable player for the Pacers. Came over in the Chuck Person, Pooh Richardson trade. Was a starter earlier in the season when both Dale Davis and Antonio Davis were sidelined by injuries. And illegal defense against Indiana. So the Knicks will go to the line. Man, I don't buy the 1 point. Darryl Garrettson, the supervisor of officials for the NBA, said that, well, you know, referees don't read the papers. I always feel that's nonsense. Just like players say they don't read the papers. I'm sure there are certain guys that don't. But I just think it's human nature where you check things out regarding the series.
Well, it could be that Darryl encouraged them not to do so, but you can't be in the room or at the home of a referee. He also has another life to lead and may want to know what the baseball scores are. He may want to know how the other games are going in other series, so it's really hard to say, don't read the papers.
Or the comics here in Indianapolis. Excellent. How can someone pass that up? 5:40 to go in this first half. And the Pacers lead 38-31, and a foul is called as they double up on Ewing. Patrick Ewing is so gun-shy, he looked at the official. He thought the foul was going to be called on him.
There's no question, Marv. He is thinking more about the fouls and more about that than actually playing the game right now, and that's not going to work well for the Knicks. He does get the benefit of this call, and it goes against Rick Smits, picking up his second, and Larry Brown is very conservative with Rick Smits in the first half, and as he was the other night, took him out with 2 in the first quarter, hardly played the rest of the way in the first half.
Oakley from deep. Handled by Ewing. Crowd wanting a traveling call. Oakley with the pick. Stark's not able to use it. Ewing with the fake. Yes. Patrick Ewing has hit 4 of 6. He has 10 points. The Knicks shooting 43%. 13 of 30 from the field. Indiana just under 52. A hot shooting first half. They're 14 for 27. Mark Jackson working against Derek Harper. Davis blocked by Ewing. Recovered by Antonio Davis. And last touch by the Knicks.
Well, you cannot fault the effort of the Knicks defense, and you rarely can. That shot was a result of John Starks doing a tremendous job on Reggie Miller, keeping him from coming off open off the screens, and that's what the Pacers had to settle for.
And the Knicks are doing a better job off the boards after they were destroyed off both backboards here on Thursday. Miller with the fake. Miller with the jumper. The tip missed, and a foul is called on Dale Davis, making contact with Charles Oakley. To this point, Indiana has out-rebounded the Knicks 17-15. Dale Davis called for his second foul.
The first option always to go through the centers. Patrick Ewing with a little bit of a hesitation there, but a good look as Davis not up on him to challenge that shot. And Patrick Ewing, you have to keep saying this, he is not himself. You see that leg wrap on the sore left calf, and he is battling hard with those injuries.
On the sprained hamstring and a sore calves. Smith. And tipped home. Oakley able to work his way inside. It brings the Knicks within 3 points.
One of the rare opportunities on the offensive glass for New York. They take so many jump shots, but yet they do not have good offensive rebounding anticipation, and it really costs them.
And a foul is called off the fake by Miller. Starks picks up his second.
Well, Charles Oakley, you mentioned before, Marv, generally is on the perimeter. This time he senses the shot going up. Nobody gets a body on him, and Dale Davis, not used to seeing Oakley around the offensive board, just turned his head. Those two usually battle hard around the glass.
Well, Pat Riley has made the point on a number of occasions. Charles Oakley plays his best basketball when his head is under the rim, and it was, as we saw on that tip-in. He now has 7 rebounds and 4 points. Charles 2 of 6 from the field. Indiana with 12 on the shot clock. And Mitchell will throw in. Jackson getting the screen. Shot clock at 5. Jackson. And taken by Smith. Smith's pass broken up by Miller. And a foul is called. A loose ball foul on Antonio Davis. Meanwhile, at the other end of the court, Dale Davis shaken up and being held back to the locker room. Dale Davis with a shoulder problem. He has had problems with a dislocated shoulder on a number of occasions.
Well, the action underneath the basket now getting fierce, as you just said, Mark. Dale Davis with separated shoulders, dislocated shoulders, and this is something that the Pacers have worried about ever since he came back. He only missed 8 games and played in a lot of pain. He looks like he's in trouble now.
And that's the same shoulder, the right shoulder dislocated twice this season. Starks with the air ball, Smith with the save. Starks keeping it alive. Starks to the left hand. And the Pacer lead is now 1.
And that is New York Knicks basketball. When Charles Oakley is throwing his body on the floor, good things happen for the Knicks.
3 minutes remaining in the first half. 6-0 run for New York. Basket won't count. A foul before the shot attempt. It's against the Knicks. It's on Smith.
John Starks getting this driving opportunity as a result of the hustle play by Charles Oakley. Starks in trouble here, has to flip high in the air to get the bucket.
Here is the menu for the Prudential Halftime Report. We will bring you information on the 3 other playoff series. The Rockets pounded the Suns by 33 in today's first game. We'll also check in on the Lakers-Spurs series where, and this should shock you, Dennis Rodman is causing San Antonio headaches once again. And we'll also get a report on the Magic and Bulls. Orlando leads that series 2-1. Right now, the Pacers lead the Knicks 2-1, and they lead this game 38-37 as we return to Market Square to rejoin Marv, Matt, and Ahmad.
All right, Bob, and the Indiana Pacers have to be greatly concerned about Dale Davis leaving the court just a moment ago. This is the sequence where the injury occurred. Charles Smith in a collision with Dale Davis, who has had 2 shoulder separations. As we flash back January against the Phoenix Suns, he went up for a rebound and got caught up with Wayman Tisdale of the Suns. Davis in obvious pain, left with a separated right shoulder, and then March the 1st in a game against Detroit, up for the slam and fouled hard from behind by Oliver Miller. And Dale Davis separated the shoulder a second time. And we are awaiting a report from the Indiana locker room. Ahmad Rashad is checking it out. You know, Matt, Indiana began the season playing 21 of its first 33 games on the road and actually responded well to a difficult schedule. They won 20 and 13. Very impressive when you consider Antonio Davis had missed 20 games because of back surgery, and Dale Davis had the shoulder problems. But this is a much better ball club when Dale Davis and Antonio Davis are on the floor. And a foul called. It's against the Knicks. Pacers lead by 3 with 2:46 to go in this first half. And let's go to Ahmad Rashad.
Marv, I've just been informed that Dale Davis has dislocated his right shoulder. It's the same shoulder he's dislocated a couple of times this year, and it is questionable at this point whether or not he will return if, in fact, he does. I will keep informed. Thanks, Mark.
All right, Ahmad, so that is bad news for the Indiana Pacers. Correction on that foul. The Knicks were reacting as if it were on them, but it was Greg Kite of Indiana called for the foul. Dale Davis off to the fast start in this first half, hitting a couple of jump shots, 4 of 6 overall, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. One-time New York Knick, Greg Kite, on the floor for the first time today. Now a member of the Indiana Pacers called for that foul. Pick and roll, broken up by Oakley.
Well, Oakley saw it coming all the way. Mark Jackson telegraphed it on the tight curl by Miller. When Dale Davis went to the locker room, the rebounding was even for both teams at 17. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Oakley, yes, Charles Oakley with 6 points, and he's given the Knicks a 1-point lead. Indiana has led by as many as 7. 10-2 run by New York. McKee trying to post up on Mason. Eric McKee to a beautiful fadeaway. McKee with 9, and it's Indiana by 1.
You don't normally see Derek McKee this aggressive offensively. Larry Brown would like to see more of it. He will have to pick it up and play more big forward.
Mason able to save the pass and then throw it away. Bad pass intended for Starks. Hayward Workman back on the floor. 1:45 to go in this first half. Indiana going with a smaller lineup. Greg Kite sitting down. That was the 5th turnover by the Knicks. Indiana with 6, so low totals in this first half for both clubs. Antonio Davis came up stumbling, and he's called for a traveling violation.
Antonio Davis trying to take the opportunity to pull Ewing away from the basket and then beat him off the dribble, but Patrick Ewing did a good job of moving his feet that time to take away the spot that Antonio Davis wanted.
Ewing playing the lead and then able to hit. Patrick Ewing looking much better offensively. He has 14. He's 5 of 7 from the field, and the Knicks lead by 1. Herb Williams getting set to come on. I would think that Pat Riley will look to protect Ewing in the final minute. Ewing with 2 fouls, Smits with 2, so both coaches have to be pleased about that situation. Antonio Davis trying to draw a third on Ewing. So they keep going to Antonio Davis, who's being guarded by Patrick Ewing, and Starks is fouled by Workman.
Patrick Ewing now with a huge size advantage with Rick Smits out of the game right now as Antonio Davis got around the front. The weak side help was Mitchell, just not big enough to come behind and knock that ball out of bounds as Patrick Ewing does get protected with those 2 personal fouls right now. We mentioned the small lineup right now. Derek McKee in effect becomes the power forward, and John Starks continues to just struggle mightily from the line.
John Starks telling us yesterday he He's had a problem with the mechanics of his shot. Starks 0 for 4 from the line in the second half the other night.
And Patrick Ewing up to just tell John Starks, stay in there. He didn't like the way John Starks kind of fell off the line and moved his body on the release of the shot. He told him, stay in there and shoot the ball.
Starks is 10 of 17 at the line this series. What a pass from McKee, and a foul called on Oakley. Let's take another look at the reaction by Patrick Ewing after Starks missed his first free throw. He's yelling, John, John.
A little turnabout earlier in the ballgame when Patrick went to the bench with 2 personal fouls. John Starks went over to console Patrick and tell him to keep his head in the game. On this occasion, it's the other way around. But the Knicks do a lot of communicating with one another. Sometimes it's not the most pleasant thing in the world, but the idea is do communicate.
Yes, this a team that has had more than its share of bickering scenarios. Patrick Ewing trying to encourage John Starks at the free throw line. Starks did hit the second. Ewing sitting down with 10 of his 14 in the second quarter. Half minute to go in this first half. Knicks lead by 1. Wild pass thrown by Starks. Knicks very fortunate there. And the crowd wanted a travel on Oakley. Harper will reset. Shot clock is down to 5. Harper puts the move on Workman and throws up a short shot. He thought he'd draw the foul. Instead, it is Indiana ball.
Well, the Knicks took possession with 36 seconds left in the half. It was a 2-for-1 situation, but the hustling, scrambling defense of the Pacers took the Knicks out of any kind of good shot opportunity.
Greg Anthony now will check in. Both clubs doing some shuffling. Byron Scott on the floor for the possibility of a last-second deep shot. The Knicks 44, the Pacers 43. Final seconds of the half. Down to 5. Down to 3. Workman with 1 second gets it up. So at the half at Market Square Arena, Patrick Ewing coming up strong, particularly in the second quarter. 5 of 7 from the field, 4 of 4 from the line, 10 of his 14 in the second. The Pacers led by McKee and Smith with 9 apiece. Stay tuned for Bob Costas and the Prudential Halftime Report.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
Trying to get even in the series, the Knicks have the halftime lead by the slimmest of margins at Market Square, 44-43. Ewing with 14 points. Miller on 3 of 7 shooting has just 8 for the Pacers. Smits and McKee lead them with 9 apiece. Bob Costas back with the Doctor and Peter Vesey in New York. The early game today was in Houston between the Rockets and the Suns, and close it was not. The Rockets win it 118-85. Olajuwon with 36. Barkley, it might safely be said, had an off game. 0 for 10 from the floor, 5 points at the line. Suns still lead the series, though, 2-1. The Rockets and Suns go at it again tomorrow here on NBC. Showtime starts the day at 12:30 Eastern. After Phoenix and Houston, we'll bring you Game 4 of the Lakers-Spurs series, which San Antonio leads 2-1. Now, the Spurs had the best record in the NBA this year, and you wouldn't expect much controversy this time of the year, but the Spurs have Dennis Rodman, and Jim Gray has more from L.A.
Well, that's right, Bob. The Spurs and Dennis Rodman are once again at odds. The latest flare-up came up late in the second half last night. Rodman was disappointed with the play of his teammates and failed to listen to one of the huddles. At that time, Coach Bob Hill immediately removed him from the game. Rodman took off his shoes, went to the end of the bench, wrapped a towel around his head, and proceeded to lay down.
I don't think he or anyone else should put themselves above or beside this group after winning 67 games and now losing 21. I think that's selfish.
I think I'm the only guy in this league or in this that plays this game gets treated a certain way, and that's okay. I just go with the flow, and it's not going to make or break me. I'm going to keep walking and do the things that Dennis Rodman likes to do, period. If you want to sit me down for something that you think I'm doing wrong, fine, sit me down.
So will Dennis Rodman start or even play in Game 4? Well, the Spurs are 22-11 without Rodman this year, including 12-2 in the months of March and April when Rodman hurt his shoulder after falling off a motorcycle. I asked Bob Hill about Rodman's status for tomorrow's game.
Without him, we're pretty good.
Are you suggesting maybe you'll be without him
I don't know
Sunday?
what I'm suggesting. I'm just saying I'm keeping the doors open for decisions that have to be made. All I'm saying is we've played without him before, and we've won.
Well, this is exactly what you don't want to have happening going into the fourth game of a semifinal series. As for the Lakers, Nick Van Exel did not practice today. He had some back spasms, but should be able to play tomorrow. Bob, that's the story from here at the Fabulous Forum.
If there's somebody who has Dennis Rodman's ear and that somebody really cares about him, that person might try yet again to get through to him the distinction between individuality, which is great, even pleasing eccentricity, and disrespect for the game, and by extension, disrespect for your teammates.
Well, I don't think it was that in this game. Listen, I think the Spurs lost that game because Nick Van Exel dominated Avery Johnson 25-3. The Spurs proved that they can't beat teams in the playoffs without Dennis Rodman. They got knocked out by the Jazz last year. Sure, they've got J.R. Reed and Terry Cummings as insurance, but I don't think that's an answer for Eldon Campbell. Even Dennis Rodman is having big-time trouble with him.
Yeah, you know, my point is not about why they win or lose a given game. But when he's lying there with a towel wrapped around his head and his shoes off and waving at the camera, that's not the most important thing in the world. It's not a felony, but it's not the kind of attitude that you want on your team.
Well, attention deficit disorder is the term, and this is the thing that people do when they want to bring attention to themselves. And Dennis Rodman is a one-of-a-kind player. He's a catalyst for this team on the boards, starting their fast break. With him in the lineup, you know, from an expert's opinion, I think they can win this series in 5 games. If he's not in the lineup, then this series is a toss-up.
Well, as for the Spurs' opponents, the Lakers, they have overachieved this year, perhaps more than any team in the league. The big reason, the man who runs the Lakers basketball operation, longtime Laker great Jerry West, who spoke yesterday with Peter Vesey.
It's like I've been chosen to do this. When I was a little boy, somebody said, go play basketball, and I did it. And for some reason, I was able to do it at a high level. But I loved it. And with what I'm doing today, you know, I work for the best owner in sports, and everyone says that. I do. You know, I've had some other teams that have had an interest in me before, and it's really flattering. It's really flattering. But I don't think I could work for anyone except the Lakers.
Well, as you see, Jerry was very emotional in his interview with Peter, and you'll have a better idea why when we show you a bigger chunk of that interview tomorrow. The third game of our triple-header tomorrow is Orlando and Chicago, and we'll check in on that series right after this message from Prudential. Okay, the third game tomorrow here on NBC is the Magic and the Bulls. Orlando leads the series 2-1 after winning by 9 at the United Center last night. And Dan Hicks has a report from Chicago.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Number 23 may be back on Michael's back, but there are some other disturbing numbers that Chicago would like to retire, like playing without a field goal for the final 5 minutes of the game. Meanwhile, the so-called inexperienced Magic did all the right things to pull out this win down the stretch.
Well, I think the little things that we did was execute our offense. When our offense broke down, we went to a second and third option. Whereas in game 2, when our offense broke down, we went with a one-on-one type of game, and that kind of threw us out of sync. But last night, along with making free throws and going to the second and third option of our offense, that really helped us beat those guys in the last quarter.
Our confidence level is real high. We're a very talented team, and on any given night, we could beat any team out there. And, you know, we've just been playing well. And now the series is 2-1, and we just have to come in Sunday and try to get another one.
So Michael Jordan did get 40 points, but just 11 of those came in the second half. He also had a couple of key turnovers late in the ball game. So if Chicago is to rely on Michael Jordan, they're going to have to rely on him for all 4 quarters. Let's send it back to Bob Costas now in New York.
All right, Dan, thanks. Magic and Bulls, 5:30 Eastern Time tomorrow, Game 3 of the triple-header. Now, in the game you're watching, the Knicks lead Indiana 44-43. Dale Davis appears to have separated his right shoulder again. He's had problems with it before, and it could very possibly finish him for the series.
Well, we'll even up with Patrick Ewing. I'm not going to say that the Knicks are better off with Patrick Ewing hobbling, but there's something to be said for their style. When everybody touches the ball, when all the bodies are moving, they become a more diversified offense, less predictable, and more people will want to take that shot in the fourth quarter at pressure time.
Well, you know, it is boiling down to coaching styles. Larry Brown seems to be willing to make an adjustment, such as Mark Jackson going out, Hayward Workman playing big minutes this series, and Pat Riley basically sticking with his guys. Be interesting to see whether Pat will become more like Larry or Larry will become more like Pat before this is over.
Okay, and we close with we will stay tuned, and we close with a quick note about one of our colleagues. We'd like to congratulate Dick Enberg, who this evening will receive the Kurt Gowdy Media Award from the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. Dick, of course, was the captain of the celebrated Enberg-McGuire-Packer team on NBC's college basketball telecasts in the late 70s and early 80s, and called UCLA games during the John Wooden dynasty. As a reward for this, Dick will board a midnight flight tonight to call Game 4 of the Suns and Rockets from Houston. That's the opener of our triple-header tomorrow. Doc and Peter, your thoughts?
Oh, my.
An entirely unrehearsed ending to our broadcast. The Knicks lead the Pacers by 1 at the half. We'll send it back to Marv, Matt, and Ahmad for the second half, right after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
Back at Market Square Arena, Indianapolis, Indiana, the New York Knicks with a 44-43 lead on the Indiana Pacers. Marv Albert with Mr. Basketball himself, Matt Dukas, and Ahmad Rashad, as we check out the Miller Lite halftime statistics. A look at the shooting stats. The Knicks at 46%, 17 of 37, and the Pacers 15 of 34 at 44%. Patrick Ewing, strong second quarter. 10 of his 14 in the second quarter, 5 of 7 from the field, and 2 personal fouls in the first half. Rick Smits also with 2.
And that rebounding, a big factor, as the Knicks have been getting out-rebounded by 10 a game in this series. Pat Riley has to be very happy about that, as Charles Oakley has picked up the slack, and now without Dale Davis, the favor really goes to New York.
All right, Indiana coach Larry Brown is with Ahmad Rashad. Let's go to the Dean.
All right, thanks, Marv. Larry, it seemed that your team came out very emotionally charged, but the Knicks took the hit and hung right with you.
Yeah, I don't think we matched their effort, you know, and they played a lot smarter than we did. But, you know, we're still in the game, and I get to speak to you at halftime. So if there's any hope, there's hope now.
What did you tell your team at halftime?
Well, I just said that, 1, I didn't think we played very smart, and 2, we got to play a lot harder, especially with Dale's situation. You know, we're going to be small, but we got to get our share of loose balls. We can't be so careless. They only listed us for 7 turnovers. I don't believe that. And then we got to get somebody off the bench to step up a little bit. It seemed like when we come off the bench, we have trouble scoring, and we're very careless with the ball.
And no update yet on Dale Davis?
Oh, he's finished. I don't know how long it is, but he dislocated his shoulder. But we've won before without him, you know, when we're playing against a great team and they're executing pretty well, but, you know, we have a chance.
All right, thanks, Larry. Good luck. All right, Marv, back to you.
All right, Dale Davis is through with the dislocated shoulder once again. We'll be back with the second half in a moment. Back in Indianapolis, Patrick Ewing still working on his new best friend, the official, Tommy Nunez.
They just gave him a little smile. Maybe that will work, because the sneer definitely does it.
The Knicks 44 and the Pacers 43 as this third quarter gets underway, and Sam Mitchell starting the third quarter for the injured Dale Davis. Larry Brown telling him on Rashad, that's a turnover, palming violation on John Starks. Larry saying that Dale Davis is through the rest of the way. Remains to be seen what his status will be the rest of the series. I don't know if he meant that he's out and that's it with the shoulder injury.
Well, in the past, Dale came back on each of those occasions after missing about 4 games, but Larry Brown did not look very encouraged.
Riddle Smits with the jump hook. Oh, what a tip! Sam Mitchell got a piece of it. And the Pacers now lead 45-44. With Dale Davis out of the lineup this season, the Pacers have gone 4-4. So it's Smits with Mitchell and McKee on the front line. Jackson in the backcourt with Miller. Miller hasn't touched the ball. And Ewing with the rebound.
The Pacers taking a page out of the University of North Carolina defensive book. Dean Smith, who of course Larry Brown knows very well, doing a lot of trapping as the ball gets to a particular area on the floor, and it has thrown the Knicks somewhat off.
Ewing handling against Smits forced the issue. Jackson thought he had Miller. Goes the other way to McKee. Open shot for Smits. Kept alive by the Pacers. Miller for 3. Yes. 22nd timeout called by the Knicks. Indiana leading by 4.
Well, with the Dale Davis missing for the Pacers, they lose his inside presence and his toughness. But when Larry Brown said, we're going to have to get it from somebody off the bench, they got a little bit of a bonus there on the tip-in by Sam Mitchell. And then three-pointers have been hard to come by for the Indiana Pacers. If you can't get it on set play, sometimes you'll get it on transition, but when it's really open, it's after a second shot opportunity, and that's exactly how Reggie Miller got that wide-open look at the 3.
And Reggie is now 3 for 3 from downtown. Indiana with 5 unanswered points to start this third quarter.
And one other factor on Dale Davis, there's no question you miss a player that gives you that inside toughness, but you also, without having him on the floor, you pick up a better offensive player because he is somewhat of a liability as far as scoring. However, he did knock down 2 jumpers today.
And he had 8 points along with 6 rebounds and 2 steals, off to a fast start. 2 minutes gone by. Third quarter. Ewing pitching back out. And Oakley thought he had a teammate there.
Well, he threw it where he wanted him to be, and he also saw the dark blue suit of Larry Brown, and that's where he threw it. But actually, Derek Harper should have stepped up to about the foul line extended, would have been open.
Indiana with a 4-point advantage. McKee. 7 consecutive points for the Pacers. And they lead 50-44. And Derek McKee has relocated the touch. Back in the offense. Ewing, yes. Patrick Ewing with 16. The Knicks with their first field goal in this third quarter. It took 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
It looks like Patrick Ewing can make that move anytime he wants to against Rick Smits. Rick does not move his feet quickly enough.
Same pass thrown by Jackson for McKee, but this time he was able to find Mitchell.
Pacers a little bit quicker now, playing with a lot of emotion. The crowd is involved. They got it going.
Indiana leads by 6. They double up on Oakley, who finds Starks for 3. Rebound Mitchell. Indiana in the midst of a good run. Miller trying to go left, but got cut off by Starks. Here's Smits. And Pat Riley upset, calling for time.
Well, all kinds of contact here as Rick Smits setting a haymaker pick on John Starks, standing dead straight still, and John Starks with a little bit of an acting job moved to the floor, and then more contact underneath the basket as Rick Smits finishes on Oakley, who tried to take the charge.
And 11 11-2 run by the Pacers to start this third quarter. Indiana getting balanced scoring, 11 apiece for Miller, McKee, and Smits. They have their biggest lead, a margin of 8, as they double up on Harper in the backcourt. And a foul is called. Hugh Hollins with the call against Mitchell, who joined to trap Harper.
All of this defensive pressure, this time in the backcourt, some of the run and jump doubles in the half court, all designed to get New York to use up time before they start to get into any kind of offense.
Oakley with Smith and Ewing up front. Starks and Harper at the guard. Smith's doing a good job on Ewing. Knocked it away. Ewing recovered. And McKee with the rebound. Mitchell could not hit. Oh, a lot of contact, but no call there. The lead pass overthrown, intended for Ewing.
Patrick Riley, I should say, just turns and walks away as he hated that play.
And Reggie Miller coming right back to take advantage.
And the Knicks are becoming unglued right now. The pressure defense of the Pacers has them totally out of whack.
And that's the story in the fourth quarter as Harper is able to stop the Indiana run. In the fourth quarter, Thursday night in Game 3, Larry Brown very proud of the pressure defense put on by his club. The Knicks without a field goal the final 7 minutes and 24 seconds of regulation. Jackson for Smith. Quick release by Smith. Ewing not able to react in time.
Well, Patrick protecting the basket, but when you take your eye off Rick Smith, we talked about in the first half, he'll just drift away to about that 14, 15-foot mark, and he shoots that very well.
Starks got bottled up, and he's called for an offensive foul. John Starks out of control and just flipped it to the hoop.
Well, everybody on New York right now trying to do things by themselves, and that will not get the job done. As good defense by Reggie Miller, moving away, not putting his arms and hands in there, taking a little bit of contact to knock John Starks off balance, and now they start to talk.
Indiana 58, New York 48, 6.5 remaining in the third quarter. Jackson and a poked away and recovers. Shot clock down to 2. Jackson for 3. Oh, that's a big bucket. Mark Jackson extending to a 61-48 lead. Harper for 3. Yes, Derek Harper brings the Knicks back within 10.
Well, it's like a heavyweight fighter. Marbu is just taking a lot of hits and a lot of punches right now. The Knicks have to try to weather this storm. They'll have a timeout coming up shortly.
Smits battling for position, able to take the pass. Rick Smits looking refreshed in the same manner as Thursday night. Sat out a good portion of the second quarter. Larry Brown did the same on Thursday, and he came back strong. Here's Carl Smith. So the Pacers lead 63-53.
Well, the Knicks have gotten a couple of silencers from Derek Harper from the perimeter, but that was the best executed set play by the Knicks in quite some time.
And for the Indiana Pacers from this capacity crowd, as Smith continues to kill the Knicks. He has 17.
And you cannot double team him in that situation. He is too tall, and he turns away on that left shoulder. That's too much size on yours.
Jackson causing the turnover. This crowd is all pumped. The Pacers sky high, trying to break the game wide open with just under 5 minutes to go. In the third, they now lead by 12.
Well, Mark Jackson labored in the last game of this series. The shot clock winding down just 1 second as Mark Jackson celebrating right now because things have not gone that well for him. and Rick Smith always a presence inside. The front by New York, the perfect pass, not enough pressure on the ball, nothing Anthony Mason can do. And when Mason gets it on the left block and turn to the left shoulder, nobody anything he could do except Patrick Ewing that time at least get up a challenge.
5 turnovers committed by the Knicks here in the third quarter. Well, Spike Lee has made the trip to Indianapolis, and apparently had something to say to Reggie Miller a moment ago, but it's been all Pacers here in the third quarter. They lead 65 to 53. Indiana with a 22-9 run, first 7 minutes of the third. Here's Miller control. Reggie Miller on fire from downtown, 4 for 4 from three-point land. The combination of Rick Smits and Reggie Miller doing it to the Knicks. Smits has hit his last 4 shots. And Ron Garrison with the call. It's on Mark Jackson away from the ball.
Hubert Davis just off the Knick bench, rudely greeted by this little pick and roll play on the ensuing play to start. And Reggie Miller, who has not done that much, I was talking about yesterday, if he wanted more opportunities to run screen roll, he did it there.
Hubert Davis coming on for John Starks, who committed a third personal a moment ago. Here's Smith to the left hand. Charles Smith with 10. And the Pacers now lead 68-55 with 4:05 remaining in the third quarter. Second part of our NBA playoff doubleheader earlier today. The Houston Rockets defeated the Phoenix Suns 118 to 85. Charles Barkley went 0 for 10 from the field, only 5 points in that game. Whistle on the play, a 3-second violation call. Olajuwon with 36 points to lead the Rockets. Tomorrow, the NBA playoff action heats up once again. Phoenix and Houston in Game 4, 12:30 Eastern Time. Then San Antonio and the LA Lakers. Lakers very much alive, followed by Orlando and Chicago. Michael Jordan and the Bulls trying to turn it from the defeat last night. Antonio Davis fouled on the play, and he will go to the line. Foul on Patrick Ewing, and that is greeted with a roar from the crowd. That's number 3 on Ewing.
Well, Mark Jackson was taken to the basket by Derek Harper. Couldn't get the score, but coming the other way, Jackson set up this play for Antonio Davis, as it appears that every time he has gotten the ball, he wants to put it on the floor and try to make Patrick Ewing move his feet and legs, which are hobbling, and trying to draw fouls. He got one this time.
Haywood Workman coming on for Mark Jackson, who hit that big three-pointer a moment ago and has 8 assists, only 2 turnovers. Indiana Pacer fans loving what they've seen here in the third quarter. The Knicks, the team that has eliminated the Pacers the last couple of years, including last season in that grueling 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals, where the Pacers led 3 games to 2. A block is called on Workman, his second foul. And the Knicks able to win here at Market Square, and then won the series back in New York in a 7th game.
And they did win that 7th game by big rebounding, in particular from Patrick Ewing, who had 22 rebounds in the game, 11 on the offensive board. And I felt coming into today, that's what the kind of game Patrick Ewing was going to have for the Knicks to even this series up.
But it's a 15-point lead for Indiana. Ewing off the head fake. Patrick Ewing with 18 points. We're coming up on 3 minutes to go in the third.
Patrick continues to make that move on Rick Smith. That shot was challenged in a big way. Patrick able to get it over Smith.
And a foul is called. That is number 4 on Ewing.
Well, this is the move that Patrick Ewing has had all afternoon. Just that little runner in the lane as he has to fade when he has to. And Patrick, who had gotten a little bit of early foul trouble, has done a good job overall of not reaching in. But this time, could not keep his hand out of the cookie jar as he tries to get Smits down low.
And Ewing will sit down. After committing his 4th, leaving with 18 points, replaced by Charles Smith. Rick Smits with 19, 10 of the 19 coming here in the 3rd. Pacers lead 72-57, seeking to jump in front 3 games to 1 in this best of 7. Mason went to the head fake, and it was kicked out of bounds. Last touch by Antonio Davis.
Well, all of a sudden, Anthony Mason now will be the focal point as far as going into the post to start the offense, but you can't go down to about 10 seconds before you get the ball in. The Knicks try to run a lot of misdirection before they go into the post. They're going to have to run more quick hitters against this tough Pacer defense.
Shot clock is down to 6. Smith. Both Oakley and Mitchell hit the floor. 2.5 left. 3rd quarter. Indiana with a burst here in the 3rd to break it open. Miller for 3. And it's handled on the hop by Hopper. Reggie Miller now 4 or 5 from downtown. He had hit his previous 4. Very solid game for Reggie. Hopper for 3-pointer. Rebounded by McKee. 2 minutes remaining in the 3rd. Marv Albert with Matt Gukas and Ahmad Rashad from Indianapolis. Mitchell setting the screen. Mitchell off the fake. And a foul call. It's on Smith as he's called for a block getting in the path of Sam Mitchell.
And this is the mentality that the Pacers had the other night. Every opportunity, drive it to the goal. The Knicks just not moving their feet well, not laterally, and really not a shot-blocking presence, in particular with Patrick Ewing on the bench. But even when Patrick was playing on the floor, not able to get up and change or block shots very much, Charles Smith, the only shot-block threat out on the floor for the Knicks right now. So I look for the Pacers to continue to take the ball to the hole.
Alan Smith is 3rd. Here's Greg Anthony for Derek Harper. Leads with 10 points and 8 assists. Sam Mitchell in a dramatic turnaround from a rough outing on Thursday night. He's played well, and he's played this entire 3rd quarter, what with the departure of the injured Dale Davis. Once again hurting his shoulder. Pacers 74, Knicks 57. The Trent on Anthony is able to get it down to Mason, leading Oakley, and Oakley is fouled. So Oakley to the line, hit by Mitchell.
This time good execution by New York against the 3-quarter, more or less a delay trap, not necessarily looking to steal a ball back there, just making the Knicks use up time. But when you get the ball in the middle to Anthony Mason with his head up, he generally makes a good play, and he did there.
Indiana has outscored the Knicks 31-13 here in the 3rd quarter. This is similar to what the Knicks did to the Pacers in Game 2 in New York. Knicks led by 1 at the half. However, the team that has led at the half in the 3 previous games has lost each of those games, for whatever that is worth.
Well, at the beginning of this game, I thought the Knicks did a good job of taking the initial emotional jolt from the Pacers. They have not done it here in the 3rd quarter.
Pacers by 15. Byron Scott is back, guarded by Hubert Davis. Travel again. That's the 3rd time that Scott has been called for steps.
And he is playing with frustration, unable to knock down shots. So everything he does now has a thought behind it, and you really can't play out there. Byron does not look comfortable and is not reacting. He's trying too hard to make something happen.
Only the 9th turnover, however, by Indiana. Workman reaching in, getting a piece of Anthony.
Well, anytime the ball goes inside to Mason and back out, then Pat Riley would like to see some shots like that, but they want the ball to go inside first, and by getting the ball and swinging it around Anthony, that made the Pacer defense react, and that's why Hayward Workman stuck his hand out there and committed a foul. I'm sure he wished he did.
Indiana over the foul limit, so Anthony on the line. During the season, the Knicks won 3 of 4 against the Pacers. Indiana's win coming at Madison Square Garden. Prior to the Knick loss here in Indiana Thursday night, the Knicks had won 3 straight at Market Square. That includes last year's Game 6 in the playoff series. McKee with the good fake to beat Smith. And last touch by the Knicks of Indiana with 8 on the 24.
Well, the Pacers feel they have a mismatch with Derek McKee going against Charles Smith. He easily got by Charles Smith. They got too far underneath the basket, couldn't finish off the play.
And the officials now discussing whether McKee caught his own shot, which would be a traveling violation.
We'll take a look at it to see if there was any kind of a deflection here as Derek McKee puts the shot, misses everything, and nobody touched it except Derek McKee. Should have been a walking violation.
Yes, that is Pat Riley's point in animated fashion. Talking to Ron Garrison, should have been Nick Ball. Mitchell, that really hurts. So Indiana able to take advantage, and they now lead 76-61. For 3. Workman with the rebound. Down to 15 seconds. Third quarter. Workman. Foul. Knicks have to gamble. Anthony looking for the steal. And then catching Workman from behind. Called for the foul.
Compounding the felony of the poor shot at the other end. Workman trying to set up, but then the gamble because Hayward Workman was just going to try to work the clock down. He saw the opening, went way too early. I'm sure Larry Brown would like to have held it out, play the percentages, and just take the last shot. No matter what happens here, the Knicks get another opportunity to score here.
Workman a 74% free throw shooter. John Starks reporting back and is greeted by the crowd. John, not a favorite here in Indianapolis for his fiery battles with Reggie Miller.
Well, Reggie has been talking in glowing terms lately about John Starks, about how much he respects his competitiveness, how hard he plays, how good a defensive player is.
Well, both players being extremely polite about each other. Anthony ran into Oakley. Final seconds of the quarter. And Oakley shoots the 3. And that will do it. After 3, a quarter that saw the Pacers outscore the Knicks 34-17 by hitting 13 of 18 from the field, led by Reggie Miller and Rick Smits. We'll be back after a word from your local station. Well, that's the kind of camera work we need here at NBC Sports. Indiana Pacers mascot Boomer with a very unique approach. Better than 16,000 here at Market Square, and they certainly enjoy the third quarter. Highest scoring quarter in this series. Indiana doubling the Knicks 34-17 to lead by 16 points as the fourth quarter gets underway. Patrick Ewing is back, as is John Starks, Charles Oakley, Derek Hopper. Open shot for Mitchell. And on the back tap, another possession for the Pacers, who have begun to control the boards.
Well, Antonio Davis has been a terror around the backboard. That time he got his hand on one. A little earlier in the game, he was doing some sumo wrestling with Anthony Mason.
Workman. And Antonio Davis and Sam Mitchell able to control.
Right now, the Pacers just outworking and out-hustling the Knicks, who seem to have lost some interest.
Well, the call against the Pacers. Traveling violation on Derek McKee. In the second half, Indiana has out-rebounded the Knicks. Incredibly, 13-3. And that has been the story. And they've done it without Dale Davis, who hurt his shoulder once again. Holding foul on Byron Scott. And for more on Dale Davis, let's check in with Ahmad Rashad. Well, apparently we're having some technical problems. And we'll get back to Ahmad in just a moment. Minute gone by in the fourth quarter. Ewing forced out much deeper than he'd like by Smits. Went to the drive. Tipped home by Oakley.
It's amazing how Rick Smits just keeps giving Patrick Ewing that avenue into where he is his favorite shot. That one was a little bit off balance compared to the runners he's taken earlier.
Ewing is playing with 4 fouls. Smits with 21 points. Rick Smits has hit his last 5 shots. Indiana leads by 16 points. Now Ewing, played by Mitchell. Smits with the rebound. Smits looking to go at Ewing, and he's called for a traveling violation. You hear the reaction from the crowd. Timeout taken. We'll be right back.
Miller Genuine Draft presents Genuine Moments.
Today we look back 10 years ago.
The second pick in the 1985 NBA draft goes to the Indiana.
Well, that's the scene Mother's Day 10 years ago. The reaction from Dave DeBusschere as the New York Knicks were awarded the first pick of the 85 draft. And extremely youthful NBA Commissioner David Stern presiding. The second pick going to the Indiana Pacers. A look at the first 5 picks back in 1985. In recognition of this moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. 9:40 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Pacers lead 79-63. Loose ball foul is called, and it's against the Pacers. It's on Mitchell, and now we are set with that report on Dale Davis with Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. I just came out of the training room talking to Dale Davis. He is getting some treatment on his dislocated shoulder. And as I mentioned earlier, this has happened a couple of times this year. When we talked about the severity of the injury, is that each time it pops out, it pops back in easier. So he is not done for the series. He says that he will be probably available to play coming up in the next game.
Ahmad, and the crowd reacts to Byron Scott finally hitting a jump shot.
He had a feeling he got a 500-pound weight off his shoulder, and that's the first fast break basket for the Pacers in this second half.
John Starks with a 3. John Starks has been very quiet. And only 3 points since the first quarter before he hit the shot from downtown. Foul on Hopper. And Hubert Davis getting set to check back in. Well, the Pacers have out-rebounded the Knicks 16-6 since Dale Davis went down and hurt the shoulder. 22nd timeout is called by Larry Brown.
You know, Marv, it's really amazing during that third quarter, first of all, to score 34 points against the New York Knicks defense, but to do it all on half-court set offense. In fact, they got the first field goal in the fourth quarter on a set play. No fast breaks until that last jump shot by Byron Scott. So I still think the New York defense has been good, but as the Pacers, Larry Brown and Reggie Miller were saying yesterday, they still have not played well until this third quarter. They are finally executing and playing their game.
Reminder, tonight at 8, 7 Central, it is the world premiere of Problem Child 3. a special NBC Saturday movie, and then 40 years of your favorite TV comedy moments. An NBC special, TV's funniest families too. It's all tonight, starting at 8, 7 Central, right here on NBC.
Is that about the Albert family?
Only about brothers Al and Steve. John Starks called for number 4. The Pacers with an 81-66 lead. And rifling through the promo copy earlier in the day, just waiting for the reading. Fan of Reggie from the crowd. Here's Smits. Rick Smits thought he was fouled.
And begged for it from Hugh Holland, and Hugh Holland said, get up. Patrick Ewing, good defense in the last few sequences.
The Knicks try to get back into it with three-point shots, but have not had success. Scott. And last touch by the Knicks. The Indiana Pacers have taken it away for the Knicks here in the second half. And have visions of coming to New York up 3-1 with game number 5 Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden. Jackson from deep. Pacers 83. The Knicks 66.
The Knicks have gone to their 3-guard lineup, the small team, which Charles Oakley does not like, but Pat Riley has to get a team out there who can get a flurry of offense going.
Derek Harper with 12 points. 83-68. 15 point Indiana lead. Smits setting the pick. Jackson went behind the back to Smits. Scott off the dribble. We come up on 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Harper, I think, surprised he got that far in the penetration. John Starks not able to hit from long range after the good start.
Reggie Miller threw that ball ahead to Antonio Davis way out on the floor. Antonio wisely gave it back to Reggie.
And Patrick Ewing is called for his 5th. Timeout taken by the Pacers.
Well, a broken fast break opportunity for the Pacers, and Reggie Miller in an attempt to get around Patrick Ewing. I don't know what Patrick was trying to do, but that was not a wise play.
Well, the NBA playoffs here on NBC continue tomorrow when we bring you a triple header of action. It all starts 12:30 p.m. Eastern with NBA Showtime. And then Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns take on Hakeem Olajuwon and the defending champion Houston Rockets. In Game 2, the surprising Los Angeles Lakers hope to even their series against David Robinson and the San Antonio Spurs. Game 3 of the triple header, Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal do battle the Bulls and the Magic. That's a triple header tomorrow here on NBC. We'll be making our way to Chicago for Orlando and the Chicago Bulls. Bulls hoping to tie the series at 2. A very strong performance by the Magic last night in beating the Bulls. How about Michael Jordan down the stretch? Now Davis, it counts, and the foul. Could it be that despite the Superman qualities of Michael Jordan that you cannot return at that type of level to the NBA after playing only 17 regular season games?
Well, all he had was 40 points, 31 of them in the first half. Coming down the stretch, no question. A couple of plays, you just don't expect Michael Jordan, who has always been such a clutch performer and a guy that you expected. Even if the Bulls are 10 down in the fourth quarter, he's going to pull it out. But the foul on Hardaway and a couple of turnovers were really unexpected.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the points, but
I know.
You wonder in terms of handling the ball at the end of the game. if there is an effect in terms of timing.
Well, again, you just don't expect mistakes like that from Michael Jordan, but he has proven a couple of times in this series he is human.
Jackson off the mark on that three-point attempt, just did beat the 24, and then Smith's able to hustle it down. Just under 6 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. The Pacers now lead 83-71. Jackson finding Davis.
Well, it looked like Mark Jackson was on the ropes after the last game, and during it, he has really bounced back in style.
Mark Jackson with 10 assists. Patrick Ewing with 20 points. He is playing with 5 fouls. Pacers now lead 85-73. They've led by as many as 18. We have seen some strange finishes in this series. It is a 12-point lead, but much time remaining. Smits goes to the floor, picked off by Anthony, and then knocked out of bounds by Jackson.
There was 6 minutes to go in Game 3. The Pacers were down 11 before they made their run to get back and tie it and go into overtime.
And the Knicks in the midst of a 10-4 run. So they're within 12. 5 minutes, 4 seconds remaining in the fourth. We'll be right back. The difference in this game in the second half, Indiana dominating off the boards and rebounding, a huge factor right throughout the series. Game 1, Pacers had the slight edge. Game 2 really doesn't tell you anything because the Knicks came back and blew out the Pacers. But Game 3, it was a key point. Pacers out-rebounded the Knicks by 21. And today, it's a 36-26 advantage. In fact, in Game 3 Thursday, the Knicks set a franchise record fewest rebounds in a playoff game with only 24. Well, Patrick Ewing cuts it to a 10-point lead with 4:45 remaining. In this fourth quarter, it is now a 12-4 run by the Knicks. Miller looking for the shot and running through by Davis. Reggie Miller, one of the league's best free throw shooters, will go to the line.
Patrick Ewing has not gotten much inside opportunities other than the runner in the lane. He feels so much more comfortable facing the basket as he knocks that down to bring the Knicks within 10. Oh, Reggie Miller got away with a play there that some officials might call an offensive foul, as he was a little shot fake, body fake, and then he moved into the path of, I think it was Hubert Davis, to pick up that foul. I've seen officials call that the other way. And now the Pacers have gone away from their small lineup with Derek McKee back in the ballgame, replacing Byron Scott.
McKee with Smits and Antonio Davis up front. Ewing setting the pick for Starks, and a foul is called. Starks going to the baseline was stopped by McKee. Derek McKee committing his second. Both teams with 4 team fouls.
And Derek McKee, an exceptional defensive player, but against mostly small forwards, John Starks has too much foot speed for Derek McKee.
Ewing from deep. Oh! Handled by Mason. Davis for 3. Yes. And the Knicks are still alive. Down 87-78. We come up on 4 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Indiana led by as many as 18. Starks guarding McKee. The Knicks with a 3-guard setup that has helped get them back into it. Smits, not a good shot. Ewing rebounds. The outlet for Starks. Setting up Davis for 3. Comes to Anthony, and the Knicks get another possession. 15-6 run by the Knicks. Anthony got the step on Jackson. The tip by Mason. The Pacer lead is down to 7.
And the bounces are starting to go the New York's way, but they are the more aggressive team right now, and that's why it's happening.
3 minutes, 10 seconds remaining in the fourth. Smits working on Ewing, who has 5. Illegal defense called on the Knicks. The basket will not count. Technical foul awarded.
Anthony Mason active around the glass, just trying to keep the ball alive. gets it to set up Hubert Davis. We talked earlier about how good Byron Scott felt. Well, that's the way Hubert Davis had felt finally getting a basket. Good hard penetration by Greg Anthony. I thought he drew the foul in there, but Mason on the doorstep on the weak side keeps the Knicks in this ballgame. And Marv, the same thing is happening to the Pacers right now, which has happened in New York in these other games. Trying to protect the lead, you get very tentative. You come down, you stand around, you run a set play, and you often wind up getting a very poor shot as a result.
Greg Anthony hobbled back to the bench. Knick trainer Mike Saunders checking him out. So Derek Harper is back on the floor. Pacers have hit only one of the last 6 shots. Davis going for the steal is called for the foul. And it puts Reggie Miller back at the line. Miller is 3 for 3 from the free throw line.
Well, Reggie Miller looking right into the eyes of Hubert Davis, thinking about taking him off the dribble, which he is able to do and did a good job of it at the other end. And Hubert Davis caught reaching in, and the Pacers continue to dominate the free throw statistics, and that is major in these playoff games. But the majority of games in this playoff year have been won by the team that has taken and made the most free throws.
Antonio Davis replaced by Sam Mitchell. Reggie Miller in game 1 hit 14 of 15 at the line. Let's check in with Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, Marv, Greg Anthony just got a slight twist to his right ankle. I talked with Mike Saunders, and it feels that he'll be okay and should be able to return. Marv?
All right, a 10-point lead for the Pacers. Ewing eluding Smits. Will it count? Hugh Holland says no. The Knicks appealing that the basket should have counted. It is a foul on Smits, and Ewing will shoot 2.
This is one of the closest positions that Patrick Ewing has received the ball and able to get Rick Smits to go for almost a non-fake and spin on him and draw the foul.
Ewing and hit his first 4 at the line. Each team with 3 timeouts remaining. Each team over the foul limit. Charles Oakley returns, replacing Hubert Davis. 6 points for Davis. And Ewing misses on both. The Knick free throw shooting in the 4th quarter in this series has been horrendous. Starks trying to draw the foul. Starks scrambling for the ball with Workman, who calls for time. Haywood Workman with a good recovery after Starks had him tied up.
Starks trying to take the charge, takes the bump, doesn't get the call, but Haywood Workman doesn't take advantage of the opportunity, gets a little careless with his dribble and the almost tie-up, and what has become a very controversial type of play, calling that timeout to save possession.
So with the timeout taking, we'll take a break. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Well, the other day, as we mentioned earlier, Larry Brown said Game 3 Thursday night was the biggest game in Pacers history. And he said, but I think today's game is even bigger than Game 3. What will he say about Game 5 back at Madison Square Garden?
Gee, let me guess.
2.5 remaining in this 4th quarter, and Indiana leads by 10 points. McKee. Battle between Oakley and Smits, and the foul is called on Smits, who can't believe it. And better be careful, he was hit with a technical foul the other day. That's number 4 on Smits.
Well, on the initial rebound opportunity, I thought Smits came over the top on the first one to get a piece here, although by the replay, he really didn't. And then as he mishandled that ball and trying to gather himself and then just grabbed onto Oakley and threw it around, he was thinking that Oakley grabbed into him as he felt he made the initial contact. That was a good call by the officials.
Oakley 2 of 3 from the line. The Knicks 1 of 3, though, at the line in the 4th quarter. In Game 3, they were 8 for 14 at the foul line, missing a host of important free throws. High men of the game, Patrick Ewing with 22, 21 apiece for Rick Smits, Reggie Miller. Knick players have been hearing the chant of crybaby as they've been poised at the free throw line, that relating to the complaining about the officiating. 8-point lead for the Pacers. So once again, the Knicks have struggled at the foul line down the stretch. We come up on 2 minutes to go in the fourth. McKee finding Smith, and he's fouled. Oakley batting the ball, and a foul is called. That will put Smith at the line. Charles Oakley collects his third.
Couple of terrific plays by the Pacers on that missed free throw by Charles Oakley. The Pacers scrambled to that wild rebound there. Sometimes teams lose their composure and stay around. It shows that the Pacers very alert at this juncture in the game, and that's on a terrific feed by Derek McKee to Rick Smits inside as Larry Brown is slick in there.
Pacers 7 for 7 at the line in the fourth quarter, and they lead by 11. The Knicks made a run cutting into that 18-point bulge, but it appears the Pacers have been able to regroup. Starks for three, and the rebound handled by Mitchell and fouled by Oakley. So Sam Mitchell will shoot a pair.
Just a matter of the Pacers coming down the stretch right now of out-hustling the Knicks to every loose ball, to every rebound. We talked about the problems of the Knicks rebounding in this series. Ironically, Pat Riley a number of years ago as the coach of the Showtime Lakers used to say to his championship caliber teams, no rebounds, no rings. And he could pretty much say the same thing to the Knicks about moving on in this series and going further to the Eastern Conference Final.
Sam Mitchell is 73% free throw shooter. That's Dale Davis back on the bench. Left in the second quarter after re-injuring his shoulder. Sam Mitchell with a bounce-back performance here this afternoon. 11 points for Mitchell, along with 5 rebounds. 93-81, Indiana. Now looking for a turnover. Starks forcing out of control once again. John Starks 1 of 6 in the second half. Starks staring at the official Tommy Nunes. He thought he was fouled. Harper called for the foul.
John Starks talking to Tommy Nunes. Pat Riley talking to Ron Garretson, thinking that Starks should have gotten fouled on that play. I disagree with that. John Starks was totally out of control and really doesn't deserve to be bailed out of the officials there. That was a poor shot opportunity.
And Workman to the line. He's 3 of 4 at the line. Reggie Miller over to McCurry. The conversation continues between a very patient Tommy Nunes and John Starks.
For the most part, John Starks has really kept his emotions under control and shot the ball very well in this series. Problems from the free throw line. We'll take another look as John Starks trying to get some kind of shot up here, but this is not, I don't think any of the Knicks had in mind on the spin. He dipped the right shoulder in, tried to escape the defender, and then threw it up with the left hand.
And then went at Tommy Nunes, and maybe fortunate that he was not hit with a technical foul. Timeout is taken with 1:18 remaining in the fourth, and the Pacers leading by 13. Well, Reggie Miller has had another solid game. 21 points, 4 from downtown, 6 of 12 shooting. They return to Madison Square Garden for Game 5 on Wednesday, and only 4 teams have come back from 3-1 deficits. The last to do it, 1981, the Boston Celtics defeating the Philadelphia 76ers. 1:15 to go in the fourth, and the Knicks appear to be headed to that 3-1 deficit. Offer rejected, Mason on the follow, and a foul is called. Foul on Byron Scott.
Derek Harper trying to make something happen either for himself or kick out for a three, but another good defensive play by the Pacers, and Rick Smits trying to get another one on Mason. A couple points we talked about earlier. I felt that it was important for, as we see the free throw shooting there today, and this has been a major problem for the Knicks throughout this series. Big factor today would have been Patrick Ewing doing a job on the boards. Patrick has scored well, but did not dominate on the backboards, and I felt whoever won the Starks-Miller matchup would win the game, and it has been clearly Reggie Miller.
And a reminder, tomorrow the NBA playoff action continues here on NBC. Triple header starting at 12:30 Eastern Time with NBA Showtime. And then Phoenix going up against Houston. The Rockets blowing out the Suns earlier today. Charles Barkley 0 for 10 from the field. San Antonio and the Lakers, and then Michael and the Bulls against the Orlando Magic. That's tomorrow. It all starts 12:30 Eastern Time with Bob and Showtime. Here's Ewing firing up a three. Patrick Ewing from downtown. So Ewing with 25 points, and the Knicks are down 94-84. Half minute left. Iron Scott extending the Pacer lead, and they are celebrating here at Market Square Arena. Smith's able to contest that shot. We are down to 20 seconds remaining. The Indiana Pacers taking a 3-1 lead on the New York Knicks. Rick Smith, who has had another magnificent performance against the Knicks. Smith with 25, 10 seconds to go. Derek Harper allowed to penetrate, but could not put it down, and that will do it. Reggie Miller can dribble his way to the locker room with the basketball. The Pacers defeat the Knicks 98-84 in a solid performance. They broke it open in the third quarter after trailing by 1 at the half. The high man of the game, Smits with 25, Miller with 21, Patrick Ewing with 25 on 10 of 17 from the field. Again, the final, the Pacers 98, the Knicks 84 from Matt Kukas and Ahmad Rashad. I'm Marv Albert saying so long from Indianapolis. This has been the NBA